Let's now speak with Reform UK's new trade, business and energy policy spokesman, Richard Tice. Good afternoon, Richard. Thank you very much for joining us. And does that brief also include housing? Can you put that clear for us? How many jobs have you got here? Okay.
That's part of my background. It's quite hard to get everything on the title, but it includes housing and planning. And that's a very important part of growth, improving prosperity, GDP, improvement and growth. And we are looking at, in a sense, smart and safe regulations, great, but getting rid of daft, delaying regulations is a key problem in the UK economy today. And that's why what you need is people with a successful business track record. Guess what? To run a business department. And to those from the Labour who are just sort of criticising us, I would respectfully say there's not a single person on the Labour Frontbench running the government today who has any private sector business expertise whatsoever. And that's the reason why the economy is flatlining, why jobs are down, and the only thing that's going up is debt and borrowing.
Yeah, Richard, we have heard the Labour Frontbench have a go at you for private school. You're having a go at them for private sector experience. It'll be interesting to see which of those two attacks gets the most reaction and engagement. But you spoke about those dithering and those issues with regulation. What would you cut straight away, those kind of key regulations that reform would remove?
Well, in housing, for example, things like biodiversity net gain and nutrient neutrality, we didn't have those 30, 40 years ago, and we were building more homes faster, cheaper, more affordable for people across all spectrums. And that's what I understand. I repeat the point. We want to be smart and safe, but what you don't want is daft and dither. You shouldn't be mandating heat pumps because of the net stupid zero madness that's destroying jobs and industries. We've got to scrap all of that and bring it right back to that good old-fashioned thing called common sense. And common sense says, if you've got a load of energy treasure under your feet, for example, oil and gas, we know that creates prosperity, then let's use it all. As far as I'm concerned, my motto is every last barrel. And the idea that we should not extract that energy treasure from us, I mean, it's both criminally and financially negligent of the highest order, as far as I'm concerned. So these are the sort of things that we will be doing. I'm giving a speech this time next week at 11 o'clock in the Midlands next week, and I'll be expanding on all of that. And also something different, which is a large new British sovereign wealth fund, which is very important as part of this joined up, cohesive, coordinated strategic thinking. And that'll be very much focused on backing British companies, buying and promoting British products, and also building hundreds of thousands of affordable homes, and focusing on whether it's high-tech, defence tech, critical tech, strategic national assets like our steel industry. We can do so much better. But what that needs is good people who come from the world of business with a successful track record. And that starts with me and many others besides.
Hello, I'm Bev Turner. Now, it can feel like the money in our bank accounts at the moment does not keep up with the cost of living. And maybe there's a solution. I'm here today with the CEO of TallyMoney, Cameron Parry. Cameron, what is TallyMoney?
Well, Bev, with TallyMoney, you get a current account and a debit card, but instead of pounds, you use milligrams of gold as your everyday money.
So why gold?
Gold traditionally is a great store of value. It has, on average, gone up at over 11% per annum for the last 25 years against the pound. It's tripled in value in the last decade. And in the last 2 years alone, it's increased by 50% against the pound. Banks' savings products just can't compete with that level of growth.
But this isn't just about gold. This is about a currency that you guys have created at TallyMoney. Explain it to me as though I'm an idiot.
So, look, people need to be able to hold their earnings and build their savings in a money that retains its value and remains in their legal control and remains theirs to access, away from government control.
Great. You had me at not exposed to government control.
You should feel safe and happy with your money. You should have peace of mind the more money you see in your bank balance, and that's the type of thing we're trying to deliver, and give people choice in the type of money they get to use every day.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Cameron. Thank you.
Richard Tice, on that idea that there should be a sovereign wealth fund that the UK government can direct towards strategic assets, what would that mean, you say, for steel, for example? Are you not concerned as a sort of libertarian economic businessman that by having this sort of fund, you might end up with the NHS for steel and a socialist steel system that doesn't provide the outcomes that we want? Do you not think that perhaps sort of supply-side reforms to keeping our strategic sectors are required?
You don't look very smart being the only G20 nation without any ability to make your own primary steel in blast furnaces. You look stupid. You look vulnerable. And under a reform government, that will all change. We should be investing in British steel, relining, refurbishing, renewing those blast furnaces for the next 50 years, and then having a long-term public sector procurement strategy that means that actually you can make it sustainable and durable, and everybody knows where they stand. At the moment, we've got the utterly mad situation where this government, they did the right thing in taking British steel away from its terrible owners, Jingye, the Chinese firm. But then now, the public sector, much of it can't use British steel products because it's not green steel. I mean, so you've got situations where there's a power plant in Teesside that's buying 7,000 tonnes of steel from China and not from British Steel down the road in Scunthorpe. Absolutely bonkers.
OK, Richard Tice, who is the Reform UK Trade, Business, Energy and Housing Policy Spokesman. Thank you very much for your time this afternoon. Right, we can now speak with the Labour activist Aisha Ali Khan for her reaction to those comments from Richard Tice. Aisha, thank you very much for joining us this afternoon. First and foremost, your reaction to those economic proposals from Reform, saying that they want to subsidise with a sovereign wealth fund our steel production. Is this something you'd like the government to be doing as well?
I mean, when energy production is so important and being self-reliant, obviously, in the past, this is what we did. And unfortunately, under the Conservatives, a lot of the mines were closed down, a lot of things happened. And obviously, we've got a strategy, a policy in place. Green energy is really important. Net zero is very important, not just for ourselves, but for our future generations as well. We do need to find a balance, though, because obviously, a lot of the changes that have been proposed by Ed Miliband, a lot of people are still not fully on board. But it'd be interesting because obviously Richard Tice has mentioned a few things. Obviously, that it's all great when you're not in power, but what we'll see if Reform are ever elected and what the policies, how those policies are going to be implemented and what changes are going to be on board.
Yeah, Aisha, you said that
when everybody's in opposition, we can...
You said people aren't really fully on board with Ed Miliband there. Are you fully on board with Ed Miliband and his net zero agenda? Obviously, energy prices in Britain extremely high, some of the highest in the developing world. Is that something, the proposals that you support in the Ed Miliband ministry?
I think it's important that we are aware, and the science has been there for many decades, the damage that's been done to our planet and how important it is to safeguard our planet for the future generations. My son's 22. I want to see, him growing up in a healthy world as well as his grandchildren as well. So it's a responsibility we all share, and it's important that we take on board all the recommendations that the science that are backed by science. So absolutely, I want to see a healthier planet. I want to see
even if it means significantly
policies.
Higher energy prices than some sort of peer economies to the United Kingdom. You still back those plans, even as people are struggling to feed their families, heat their homes.
Well, if you look at some of the policies around the ULEZ charges, for example, minimising car usage and the difference that's made to actually the air quality, the air pollution, the fact that children can breathe. So when you think about you're comparing saving money compared to saving lives, and I think saving lives always trumps everything. And again, Charlie, I'm not saying, yes, let's pay higher prices. We do need to find solutions that are going to benefit everyone. And there's been lots of different ideas on the tables. We've had obviously wind farms. There's quite a few wind farms, windmills near where I live now. And honestly, people hardly notice them. But again, there are other solutions as well. And I think we do need to open our minds to other things as well that are going to help the planet long term, not just now or the short term. We're talking decades and hundreds of years down the line as well.
OK, Labour activist